All right, here's my new gap year program. It starts in September with crippling routine. Then through October, it turns into just spirals of depression while watching other people have the time of their life. Hi, my name is Dylan David Gordon. You are watching Beyond Young, where I take you from school life to real life. And today we're going to be going over how to ruin your gap year. The reality is a lot of people go into gap year with a lot of fear because it takes a lot of risk to decide to make this decision, and then not making the most out of it would just be terrible. It would be awful. So my intention with this video is to give you some guide rails, some things to avoid doing to guarantee yourself an amazing year. So without further ado, let's talk gap year. The first way to ruin your gap year is by getting a dead-end job. I'm talking about working at Tim Hortons, Starbucks, Subway, one of these places where you're just someone behind a desk, filling someone's orders or giving them food. The reality is you can work at Tim Hortons for 5 years. You'll still be making as much money as you did on your first day. Why? Because you've developed no skills. I don't say this to be rude. I don't say this to be mean. I have friends who work at Tim Hortons and stuff. I'm not trying to be a douche. But what I mean is if you work at Tim's for 5 years, you are now a very good Tim Hortons employee. But if you learn a skill, say like carpentry or landscaping, you do that for a year or more, all of a sudden you're more employable. Other people want to hire you and pay you more money to do the job. So when you're on your gap year, consider finding jobs that as you get better at them, you will earn more money from being more experienced, and also make yourself more employable to other places. Because when you're at Tim Hortons, now you're gonna have an easy time getting another job at a different Tim Hortons. So avoid getting a dead-end job, start building skills, and make yourself employable. Second way to ruin your gap year is to spend the entire year, the bulk of your time, in your hometown. Now there's a lot of reasons people do want to stay at home, and they make perfect sense. Living with your parents is cheap. Maybe you have some friends that are staying with you in that hometown too. So you have your friends, and you don't have to spend too much money, and you can live just very cheaply. The reality is that's taking a very, very, very safe route. Look, you're what, 17, 18, 19? Now's not the time to be making these very safe, very non-exciting decisions, because guess what? Everybody else has taken a risk going to school. It's something new. But if you're going to take a gap year, you're going to take this time to do anything you want in the world, and you're going to decide to spend it all at home. Now look, maybe you don't come from all too much money. I didn't either. But there's ways you can do this cheaply. You can find those ways on this YouTube channel and all over the internet on how to get out of the house for virtually no money. So please avoid at all costs staying at home for your entire gap year. Look, if you have to for a little bit to earn a little bit of cash, or just waiting for travel plans to line up with a friend, sure, stay at home. But if your intention is just to spend 8 months, a year, just at home playing Fortnite or just watching Instagram on your parents' couch like you have for the last 5 years anyway, you're gonna have a terrible, terrible time. The third way to ruin your gap year is to try learning the right things. I know it sounds ridiculous, but please let me explain. I'm an ideas guy. I get obsessed over virtually anything. I played cards for a bit. Right now I'm working on gymnastics, jujitsu, marketing, just all these books and all these ideas I'm fascinated with. And when I was on my gap year, I was terrified of learning the wrong things. I preferred to sit at home and try to figure out what the right thing to learn was. At any one time, I'd be excited about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different things all at once. And it's wearing on your head because you're doing an insane amount of research, and it occupies a lot of brain space. But at the same time, you're learning all this stuff, but making no progress in any one thing. So when I say worry about learning the right thing, What I mean is not jumping into an idea with both feet. Look, if you're really into like birding, then spend like a solid week doing just birding and don't get muddied with all these other thoughts. It's good to have a bit of focus so that way you can actually like flesh out an idea fully versus just treading the water. Look, when it comes to ideas, I'm a big water treading guy. I'm a huge fan of it. Don't get me wrong, but you have to reach like a certain level of depth in a topic before you know if it's a good fit or not. But on your gap year, try to like pick a handful of things you're curious about, and you know, don't go into the deep end with them, but maybe like, you know, at a pool, how there's that little like rant part as it's starting about to get deep. Like, try getting to that point and then make a decision on if you're going to go any further. Now, the fourth way to waste your gap year, and this one's like so big, is by not hitting the like button for the YouTube algorithm. God, I feel like it's such a joke doing that. Number 4 is to spend 0 time in self-reflection. Avoid it at all cost. Spend your time watching YouTube videos like this one, or turning on The Office or Parks and Rec, or whatever your binge, like repeat show of choice is, and just remain numb at all times. Now, of course, again, I say this tongue in cheek, but on gap year, it is like the whole point is to get to know yourself. What are you all about? Where do you want to go? And part of that discovery is sitting down and having conversations with yourself. What's working? What isn't working? And if you spend no time behind like a physical journal, or no time, I used to record things on voice memos because I enjoy talking ideas out. If you spend no time problem solving your life, then it'll feel like you're making no progress in this gap year. It'll feel meaningless, and it's like just so easy to slip into like a weird depression in gap year because you've lost all the structure in your life that school used to give you. So yeah, self-reflection, super critical. I highly recommend the Understanding Myself program. It's Jordan B. Peterson's program. I think it's like $10 for this personality test. I got a lot from doing that test. I'll probably share it on this YouTube channel at some point. I also recommend his self-authoring program. It's an amazing way of coming to terms with your past and who you are, accepting who you are, but then paving a path forward and what you'd like your life to look like. So, fourth way to waste your gap year is to spend no time doing any of what I just told you. Fifth way to waste your gap year is to spend much of your time comparing yourself to other people. Look, I had some friends. They went to like Fanshawe and Western. They're like some schools in London, Ontario. Western University being Canada's #1 party school as rated by Playboy magazine. I remember that's the only school I wanted to go into when I was graduating, just for parties. I didn't end up going, and I just always assumed that these people, what do I mean these people? My best friends were having just the time of their life every single day, because I'd look at their Instagram stories and stuff, or I'd have other people who I wasn't friends with, but who I went to school with, who had also taken a gap year, and they were traveling the world. They were going over here, they were going over there. And I was just like, well, I was stuck at home for a little bit. I did do a bit of traveling on my own, but it just felt like it was a distraction from what was important to me and what matters to me. My friends were doing stuff that was important to them at the time, and it's like the growth that they needed to have. And all the time I had spent fantasizing about having their life, I was neglecting the growth that I needed to do. Where exactly do you need to grow? What are you scared of, and what can you do to remedy those fears and conquer them? If you spend your gap year on like YouTube looking at other people's gap year stories, or reading different travel blogs and seeing the traveling other people have done, it's all just a distraction from what really matters. And what really matters is what's important to you. is set down your phone or computer right now and just think about where you want to go and steps that you can take right now to do that. Look, this video is obviously made pretty tongue-in-cheek. I ruined my gap year in a lot of ways, and I'm trying to help you and others like you avoid making the mistakes that I had made. And for more help on your gap year and to get the most juice out of it, check out like this playlist over here, and I don't know, whatever my most recent video is, I'm sure you're gonna love it. And be sure to subscribe for more gap year conversations. Thanks.